The cities and the vast metropolis of Earth have all fallen to the zombie hordes. Modern civilization has crumbled under the weight of 1,000 cataclysms. Yet, there is still life on this planet and pockets of untouched wilderness which have never felt the ravages of time. In this land that time forgot, amidst the primitive landscape, we find our hero Innawood. Armed only with basic survival knowledge, Hanny must overcome the ultimate wilderness survival challenge. Welcome everybody, my name is Ryan and we are back with more Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, and we are finally embarking upon an Innawood playthrough. That's right, this has been a much requested version of the game which I try out, so we're going to do that today, and we're going to be doing an edited Let's Play series which I will upload episodes for every other day to YouTube at the same time, so make sure you subscribe, of course hit the like button, leave me some comments. But if you're unfamiliar, the Innawood is a total conversion mod which removes all the high-tech stuff, guns, even zombies are removed from the game. There's still some familiar things like Migos and whatnot, so the challenge aspect is still there, but it's much more focused on a primitive survival with a heavy emphasis on crafting and resource gathering, and of course we can eventually bootstrap our way up to some decent level technology, but it takes a lot of work and effort and a lot of luck too. So let's jump into the world creation first, then we'll create our character and we will get right into the world. If you want to skip that, there are timestamps down below so you can move forward right to the action, but like I said, let's get started. Oh, and stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to be making some changes to my live streaming schedule each weekend, and I'll let you guys know about that at the end. But either way, let's get started. Alright, of course, the first step, create the world. I usually go with something more descriptive rather than creative for these names, so we'll just put Innawood, and that's good enough. Now, cities, irrelevant, we're not going to touch it. Difficulty, I will leave that the same, but the NPCs, I think we're going to turn this up. In fact, because we can find NPCs, recruit them in the world, given that they, we have a good enough social and whatnot, but they will help us with crafting and many other things too, like perhaps cutting down wood and stuff. We won't get any right away, I'm sure, but it's something to look forward to. So we're going to do that. As far as advanced options go, there aren't many and they're kind of irrelevant. No wandering hordes, no surrounded start. We don't have to worry about that, but the mods are important. Now I'm going to come over here because I have my mods set to a different default, like Magicalism is set up as a default. I'm going to take all of these out. I will leave tameable wildlife just for fun. I don't know if we'll actually be able to tame anything, but we'll just give it a try, maybe as a fun little medium-term goal. But either way, here it is, the Innawood mod. This is most important. And other than that, we are going to add the dinos and the megafauna. So there's still going to be some extreme survival challenges here, not just in terms of resources, scarcity, that nature, but we're going to have to contend with some major animals. But who knows, if we get ourselves a single dinosaur kill, that might be able to feed us for a week or more. So there's benefits too to playing with the big creatures in the world, but a lot of hazards as well. That being said, I think we're looking at, this is it. This is going to be our world. So let's go ahead and hit F to finish it. Yes, we are sure. And now we're going to pop over here to New Game, Custom Character, and of course we select our Innawood playthrough. So let's jump into full character creation right now. Alright everybody, here we are at character creation, and I did do kind of a dry run. We did one live stream for the Innawood mod, which kind of ended in a disaster, but regardless, I have a good idea of just how I want to build this character. So We are going to use the multiple pools, which restricts our points a bit, but that's okay. It means we're not going to be able to make somebody who's truly overpowered, but we're going to have to balance it a little bit. So, scenario-wise, this is a very important choice here. I think we're going to go with wilderness. It is highly recommended that you find a cave, and we could potentially start in a cave if we wanted, make things a little bit easier, but I like the idea of a bit of a challenge to start with, looking for shelter. So let's go with wilderness, and we'll pop over here to profession. This is going to give us some skills potentially, but also the clothing is going to be a big part of this selection. So let me see if I can find something which is fairly primitive but not completely naked. We could do naked and afraid, but we're going to be really struggling with the elements early on, the cold and whatnot in early spring. So maybe something a little bit more primitive, but doesn't necessarily give us like a whole lot to start with. Let's just go through our list here and find something. Okay, well, after looking through the dozen or more here options, I think that musician is our best bet here for more of a balanced play. Like I said, still challenging, but we don't start off with any really important tools. We will have a bone flute though, so that's kind of interesting. That'll help with the mood, which could be very useful in this playthrough. Also social too, which is going to be good, like I said, later down the road if we want to recruit some NPCs. That'll help. But there's still a lot of things we're going to need to do in terms of skills and background. So let's check musician. The good news is, though, it doesn't cost us any points here. So it's basically a neutral pick. Some of these other ones down here do cost points, as you can see. But like I said, now we can spend those points towards other things. And background, there are so many options here, but I have been advised that we want to look for some napping, some backgrounds to give us skill in napping. So I'm going to check this list real quick because there is a lot. I don't want to force you guys to sit through me reading all of these, but we are looking for something related to basically primitive crafting. So I'll find that and show it to you right now. Okay, well, after a pretty exhaustive search, I think the only one I found that actually relates to flint napping is bushcraft here. Cost 4 points, so it's pretty hefty in terms of its cost, but it gives us some really nice stuff here. So we get some skills right off the bat: fabrication, survival, food handling, all going to be key. And then the background proficiencies: fiber twisting, leather working, rope making, trapping, carving, butchering, skinning, and there it is, basic napping. Because essentially I've been told that if we try and do this without any proficiency, it's going to take like days to do a single piece essentially. And if you're unfamiliar with what napping is, we're going to be turning stones into things like arrowheads and things of that nature. So it is a very critical skill. But in addition to the background of bushcraft, I gave them a background in archery, cost 2 points, and it gives us archer's form, which is really, really helpful to have if we're going to be using archery. You can learn this over time by practicing, but we're going to be depending on our archery to feed ourselves and defend ourselves a lot. So I think it's good to start with that. Otherwise, I put a boating license on because I figure maybe we can make a canoe or something at some point, and this will just help with that. Plus it's a free perk, or background I should say, so we'll just go ahead and throw that on. But now it's time to move on to the stats, and we're going to skip them completely. No stat points whatsoever. We're going to stay at 8s across the board, just an average human. And in large part, that's so that we can spend some more points on things like traits and skills. But speaking of the traits, let's come in first and just adjust the look. We'll give him a beard. How about in terms of his hair? He's got some nice curls. We'll go with blonde curls, sure. And down to the bottom, I like to do the appearance first because I usually forget We'll go with blonde hair, skin tone bronze, and that's good enough. Now, negative traits, I'm going to be using some stuff which are kind of like gimmies here in a primitive survival world. Addictive personality, for instance. Unless we start brewing up our own liquors, we really aren't even going to have access to drugs, so that's just like a free 2 points. And if I come down here to the very bottom, there's another one, oversensitive system. Again, this gives us 8 points, a big one, and it basically rules out our ability to use bionics, but again, it's kind of a give me. So that might be the only 2 we really need. Yeah, at this point, we can only give ourselves 2 more points from the negatives, so we'll stick with this, and let's add fleet-footed, indefatigable. Those are just like traits I always pick basically with every character. I think we'll also do... No, that one's not what I want. Let me see here. Tough is probably good. 20% bonus to all hit points. I like it. I like it. Only costs 2 points, and that sounds pretty helpful. Let's stay with that for now and go to skills. See, we've got a bonus in our social, but we definitely want to bump up that a couple of times. Survival 3. Let's do fabrication 3. Tailoring 2. And we have 1 point left. We might want to do something melee related, because eventually we will get into archery, but obviously the melee is going to be our bread and butter for starters. I almost feel like that point might be wasted though, because we can level up melee real easy, whereas something like applied sciences I can't level so easily, and this will give us access to certain things, primitive, recipes and chemicals, which will be extremely helpful. So there we go. We've used all our points. Now the last tab is the description, and we are going to name our character Hanny, that's right. This is in honor of one of my Patreons and a good friend. Big shout out to Hanny. Thank you for all your support, buddy. And hopefully we can keep your character alive for as long as possible. And we'll stick with male, and 5'9's good. Age is okay with me. No problems. I am just excited to jump into the world. So next step is to confirm everything, and I will see you people in the primitive survival woods. And the adventure begins. Here we are with our character. Very nice color hair, but otherwise we can take a look at the inventory. We've got a bone flute, some briefs, grass skirt, moccasins. The small water skin is going to be very helpful. Starting us off with a bit of water, but it is frozen, so we can't drink it right away, but that will thaw out over time. We've also got a pair of socks and a straw basket. That's where bone flute is currently held, and we actually do have a decent bit of capacity. Our limiting factor is going to be the volume here, so we might definitely look towards making a larger basket at some point. But let's now look to our map and the surrounding environment. Doesn't appear to be any markers popping up yet, but we do see some animals here nearby. We've got ancient bison, a herd of them to the south, and a stag moose. I believe if we pull those up, yeah, they're all neutral and ignoring us, but we definitely don't want to get too close to these big animals. Of course, I believe both of these are probably presented by the Megafauna mod, but let's zoom out just a bit so we can see as we travel. And if I had to pick a direction, oh boy, I guess we'll just go north, away from the animals. Let's see what we can find. Right away, I am going to kind of look for a sharp rock. There we go. So this will be our first knife. So let's walk to that, pick it up. Let's just take a quick look. Yeah, it does have level 1 cutting and a butchering quality on it. So it's obviously not a very advanced knife, but it's going to be a start. So I'm going to grab it, and I think I'll favorite it. In addition, let's just favorite our bone flute. I don't think this thing's very heavy. Half pound. Yeah, at some point if we find a cave, or maybe if we were forced to make like a little primitive lean-to, I will drop that off. But zooming back out, let's keep looking. It's going to be critical that we pop in and out of the map and look at these notes. So it does appear there's an outcropping. I think we should go investigate that. Let's turn westward here and go south. A couple of things we're going to be looking for is a clay outcropping, going to be super critical. I do see some sand dead ahead. So, yeah, this little square of it here, just a single little sand pit. I think I'll go ahead and mark this on the map, actually. And there we go. All right. It could come in handy later down the road for sure. So any kind of resource we can spot, we're going to have to mark. But let's just take a look around. Another sharp rock above us to the north. Let's just keep moving. We got some wild turkeys to the west. Let's see. Okay, that's my marker. Looks like an outcropping. So I think that's pretty benign. I don't know, there might be an animal or something in it, but let's get closer and investigate. Of course, we got safe mode turned on, so if there's anything really, really nasty, we should be able to see it before it sees us, hopefully. And I'm going to grab this flaking rock. That might be worth picking up as we travel here. We're definitely going to want to get our hands on a stick, too. I can go ahead and make a really primitive pointy stick, spear, essentially, if you want to call it a spear. Yeah, the outcropping, this might actually present us with our first shelter. Before we go into it, though, let's pop over here to the tree line. And yeah, we're going to knock down this little tree here. Good. Yeah, the long pointy stick, I'm going to grab it. We'll go into crafting, down to spears. This only takes 1 minute, 12 seconds. So it's going to be very important for us to keep track of like how long things take to craft. Certain items are going to take a very long time, and we don't want to get engaged with, multi-hour tasks in certain situations. But okay, anyway, I accidentally hit escape, so let's go back and just craft it. Boom. So now we do have a long pointy stick, and I'll favorite it. It's definitely not the best type of weapon, pretty low damage for real, but the benefit is it does have reach attacks, and obviously some sort of weapon is better than nothing. Long pointy stick, I'm sure it took most of our ancestors, had long pointy sticks too at some point. Alright, let's dive into this. Looks fairly open. There might not be, any covered spaces here, so it's not really a cave. It is just literally an outcropping of rocks, and I can't really get inside this, so it's probably all solid. Let's keep looking. What do we got over here? A grove? That could be interesting, but I'm going to avoid just diving right into the woods because there are definite dangers in there. And another thing you'll notice is that I'm starting to auto-harvest as we walk by. Auto-harvest is one of the features you'll have to bind to a key. I have mine bound to F7, and we can cycle through it. You'll see over here, we have it set to everything. So anytime we walk by, well, basically anything that's harvestable, our character will harvest and drop it. And let's see. Yeah, I am actually picking up some random stuff too, but we'll deal with that later. Currently, it's a good idea to do it because it slowly builds our survival skill as we do wild harvesting. But we do need to be incredibly careful with it because if we start getting chased, for instance, we want to turn it off because it will slow us down immensely. Okay, I'm going to ignore the grove. But yeah, right here, for instance, boom. The birch bark, that is actually going to be the first access we have to bandages. So I'm going to drop a few things here. And boom, let's go ahead and make sure we collect some of the birch bark. I'll want to keep that for sure. Yeah, okay, that's about all we can pick up. Yeah. I don't know why it wouldn't let me pick that up. I guess the birch bark happens to be pretty bulky. But either way, let's continue on, staying as careful as we can. And I'm going to just follow the tree line south, I think. There's a mastodon. A cougar kitten. Oh, boy. Where there's a cougar kitten, there's probably a cougar adult. 2-headed flat peccaries. 3 of them. There are some peccaries that are hostile right off the bat, but I don't think this group is. Man, there's a lot of wildlife. We're just going to have to try and remain neutral, not provoke anything. And let's check our map. Burned ground. Still no clay deposit and still no cave, but those are going to be 2 of the big ones that we're looking for. Uh-oh. Yeah, now we have sight of an enemy. A long-nosed peccary to the south. This thing, I believe it's dangerous, and it is about as fast as us. It's just a pig-like animal, but we're going to want to avoid any kind of confrontations early on, so I think I'll just go around it. Let's go around this herd of less formidable peccaries, and I'm still continuing south. Alright, harvesting as we go. Alright, well, looks like we've come across our first wasp's nest. There it is. These things are pretty neutral until you get too close to them. So I'm going to play it a little bit risky and go to the south, hoping they don't catch sight of me. No other animals either. I'm kind of trying to check out anytime I do a little wild harvesting. If I don't immediately pick it up, I'll just kind of take a look at what it is, see if it's worth grabbing. But okay, I think we made it past the wasps. There's still more dangers ahead though, for sure. And so far I haven't found any important resources, but the journey continues, so we can't stop until we get somewhere safe, or at least somewhere in proximity to some clay. That's going to be super critical early on. Oh boy, a saber-toothed cat. Yeah, this is, interestingly enough, not currently hostile. In fact, it is fleeing from something. It is fatally dangerous, though. Yeah, we definitely want to avoid these guys, but the good news is I think it's heading away from where we want to go, because I just found a cave. Check it out. Yeah, it's not too far south from the wasp nest we just came from, and just right here tucked into the trees. Looks like there's a swamp to our south. Now keep in mind we still have to find clay. The fact that we started with a water container definitely makes our life a lot easier, but let's see. Oh, my water's still frozen. That's why I can't drink it currently. But yeah, this is going to relieve a lot of the early game difficulty, at least in terms of thirst. Because if we didn't start with this, we would immediately have to make a clay cup. And those only hold 1 unit of water. So you can imagine just how tedious it is to constantly boil a cup, drink it. Boil a cup, drink it. Yeah, so this way, it's a little bit nicer, but it's still not too overpowered. 6 water, that's only like a day's worth, if that. We'll definitely have to be making our way maybe to the swamp to the south, where we can retrieve water. Oh boy, okay, so first thing, we want to check out this cave. It's no guarantee that it's going to be perfectly safe. But, okay, the spider webs are actually a good indicator to me. I'm going to leave them intact. We can smash them and just take them down. But for now, I'm hoping that means there's no, like, big cats or anything that have taken up residence. Oh, God, there's a black bear. Okay, there is a bear in here. It's not currently hostile to me, but it might become very, very shortly, so I'm going to turn around and run out. Okay, we're safely out. I don't think it followed me, but that could be a bad sign. Although, maybe we could scare it out. Okay, that one's blocked by the cobweb. That's a dead end right there. So, in other words, maybe if I spend a bit of time near here, keep this cave inside the reality bubble, the bear might just wander off on its own and not return. alternately, maybe we can just share the cave with the bear. Although I don't think that's the smartest idea. No, we definitely want to get rid of that sucker. So let me see, maybe I'll twist up a little cordage here. Yeah, we can, and I can just kind of walk around and harvest some of the berries, and, well, not berries, but anything we come across. That'll pass a little bit of time. Maybe coax the bear out. I don't know. Equally, I'll probably start a fire just in the entrance here, but before we do that, we will need a fire starting device. So honestly, that'll probably be what I work on right now. Yeah, our most important thing is going to be the fire drill. In fact, let's look up the recipe real quick by searching for bow fire drill, top of the list. And fairly simple. We need tool with cutting. We have our little sharp rock, short cordage piece. We'll whip that up right now. A stick and splintered wood, both of which we can get from a small tree. So let's look at our cord. Short cordage piece. I have a withered plant in my pocket. Let's make one of those. Okay, great. I don't think, yeah, I'm actually able to pick it up. So now we've got the small tree right here in front of us. Actually, I see a stick. Okay, let's wheel this over here next to the tree. Beautiful. And now we're going to knock this down. Okay, so we want to rest a bit. Let's go ahead and disassemble one of the long sticks. That'll give us 2 regular sticks. Beautiful. And now if we come to this regular one and cut it up, we get splintered wood right there. Boom. So we've got everything we need now. Oops, that's the wrong entry. There it is, fire. I'm missing an actual stick. Okay, let's disassemble another long stick. Move my cursor. Yeah, that'll give us 2 regulars. Boom, boom, boom. And back to it. What? Did I not do it properly? Okay, I don't think I just finished it. I started it but didn't carry it all the way through. There it goes, finally. Put it down and start working. So the fire drill, I think it's on the floor. Bow fire drill. Let's just wheel down. I'm going to drop the spear. Now what we need to do is actually make a notched stick. Yeah, this thing won't start fires without, yeah, it says this tool doesn't have enough charges. So let's drop it real quick up here. Keep things nice and organized. What is this right here? Let's just move this over to our pile of stuff. I'm going to get it all organized. Okay, beautiful. Now, let's go ahead and make a notched stick. So, I think if we just look up notch. Yeah, there we go. How many of these can we make? Currently just the one, but that'll give us a few notch sticks, I believe. So now let's grab the drill, wield it. If we reload it, yep, we now have reloaded the bow fire drill with a notched stick. And we should be able to now start a fire. Start a fire quickly as an action. So we're prepared. Got to be careful. Definitely don't want to start a forest fire. That would be a big mistake, but I want to take this cave over. I'm thinking maybe we'll explore a bit more of the surrounding area. I'm going to leave the bow fire drill here. And we'll grab our weapon, wield. If we find some clay nearby, then I'm definitely going to make an effort to evacuate this bear. But who knows, maybe we'll find another cave which doesn't have a bear in it, and we can settle there. But for right now, I think we've still got daylight, a little bit of water. We should explore the surrounding territory. Let's see what's in the neighborhood. Oh boy, well, I have come across another hostile creature, one that is well known to most fantasy fans out there, and probably just most normal people too. That is the dire wolf, a large, muscular species of wolf, and it is listed as fatally dangerous. As far as I know, that is the most dangerous a creature can be in this game. If I'm mistaken about that, please let me know down in the comments. But yeah, well, we're still going to want to avoid this pack 100%. Yeah, again, interestingly, only one of them actually shows us hostile. but they don't see us most critically. So I'm going to ignore that for a moment. Hopefully they're not coming in our direction. The most interesting thing I found was another patch of sand here. I did spot the first dinosaurs in the swamp, but they weren't hostile, so I just moved past them. Although they're listed as fatally dangerous as well. There they are. Let's take a look at them. I've never heard of this kind of a dinosaur, but just says a slender four-legged dinosaur with a long neck and beak. It's very dangerous, but still nothing we'd want to run into in a back alley. Huge in size. It can swim and has a head. It's in the swamp, so I don't think it'll venture too far outside that area. But one other notable about the swamp is it's got the bog iron in it, which we can almost certainly refine. Yeah, it says suitable for bloomery refining if it was extracted properly. So just goes to show a little foreshadowing of maybe some of the technology we'll be able to get into. But we have to survive, so I'm going to back away from this general area and just continue along in this direction, I think. Maybe I'll eventually loop back around. We'll see how things go. You can't plan it out too much because you're really more or less dictated by what animals pop up in front of you, whether they're hostile or not. So, still on the lookout for that clay. I'm noticing... Okay, I think that's burnt ground up here. Yeah, changing the color. That's just dead grass, but I noticed it here on the mini-map as a little brown splotch. Thought it might be clay, but gotta keep looking. Well, what do we have right there? Looks like a clay deposit. So I circled around. About here is where we saw those dire wolves. There's a sand pit right here. I came up and I decided to turn back towards the cave, and I'm glad I did, because as I was coming through the woods, we stumbled across a very large patch of clay, but we got to be extremely careful. Traveling through these woods minimizes our visibility, how much we can see. So in other words, we could turn the corner around a tree and walk right into something extremely dangerous. Woolly mammoth to the south. Alright, this is the clay. Check it out. It's even got some cattails and stuff growing in it. Let's harvest all these. And then I'm actually curious where our survival's at. Wow, 90%. So we're 10% away from level 4, which is going to be very helpful. Open up some new recipes. But you can see that just auto-harvesting is a slow grind for sure. But now... I'm going to need a few things, a digging stick. We're going to need a fire too if we want to actually make the clay. And we'll need water. So it's better if we take the clay to a location with basically infinite water, like maybe this hot spring. Oh, I want to go check that out now for sure. But technically, I think the swamp is going to be a bit closer to our cave. Although swamps can often hold some pretty nasty stuff. Maybe we could get lucky if I push into the woods. There might be like a pond or something just on this side. So we'll definitely want to open up a little bit of this area. But man, like I said, with the proximity of this clay to the cave, I really want to settle here now. So we're going to have to evict that bear somehow. Whether it's maybe by trap or fire. Well, we'll get to that. But for now, we can just kind of leave the clay. Okay, I'm not going to pick any of that up. And I'm extremely curious about the hot springs. So let's travel north and go investigate that. Oh no, there's a long-nosed peccary just over to the east, and it is threatening the hot spring. It's not really necessarily in the way, but it looks like it's moving into that group of other animals. Yeah, those just became hostile. Not to us, though, because it can't see us, but they're about to clash with this peccary, which is interesting. I wonder if maybe if we hang back a bit, I'm going to have to turn off safe mode, but I'm going to move back just a bit. keep my eye here, and I'm also watching the mini-map too, just to see what happens. But if we could, like, go scavenge a carcass or something, that might be amazing. But regardless, we are in visual proximity of the hot spring. Let's just look at this real quick. Scalding hot water, not particularly safe for swimming. With a watertight container, you could gather fresh water from here. Not safe to drink as is, though, it says. So what, I'd still need to boil it? Huh. Well, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a hot spring. I wonder if that's exclusive to Innawood or not. Sometimes you can tell if we look at the map. No, it says origin is dark days ahead there. But either way, so let's focus on these animals. Yeah, there's definite fighting going on. And I think, is the peccary actually... It's holding its own. Like, it's not even... It doesn't show any damage, but it is hurting one of these. It's bleeding. Alright, let me pass a bit of time. We don't want to spend all day here watching this, but this could actually be a huge benefit to us, so it definitely merits a little bit of patience, I think. Oh boy, wow. Yeah, these long-nosed peccaries are no joke. They're only listed as dangerous, but I guess they're pretty high level of endurance and constitution and toughness, these little piggies, because this thing has murdered the entire herd of camelops. Have we even looked at this, though? What are these? Huge mammal. Wow. Huge woolly two-humped camel. Makes sense. Interesting. Well, they're not very good fighters, are they? Yeah, there's definitely more meat than that thing can eat up there, but he just officially killed the last one. Or no, there's more. But the real question now is, where's this peccary going to go once he finishes his murder spree? I came down here to the forest and I was just scavenging around a little bit. I went ahead and crafted up a couple of pieces of short cordage. Yeah, it doesn't take very long, just a couple minutes, so I figured that was a good thing to pass time while they're in the reality bubble. And these things are essential for, like, all different crafting, but including bandages. In fact, we might be able to make some bandages now. Yeah, birch bark. 2... I think I'm going to hold off right now. That short cordage might come more in handy for something else, but it's good to know we've got those on us and we're ready to go. But I'm not giving up. Oh, I think... Okay, I think it might be done with its killing spree. Okay, so it's just sitting there. It's moving a little bit. Might have to just leave the area because it doesn't appear to be doing anything. Well, what I'm going to do is turn on safe mode. Maybe I'll spend another couple minutes near here, because I would really love to get my hands on, like, one of those carcasses. But it might just be... might be a death sentence in order to try it, so... Like I said, I'll spend a bit more time making cordage, and then we'll check back in on our little piggy friend and see what he's up to. Well, unfortunately, I have been spending a lot of time over here just waiting for the peccary to make a move, and he's not doing anything. In fact, a couple of woolly mammoths have now kind of wandered in, and one of them is pretty close, but they're not interacting, and he is just sitting around pooping next to those carcasses. That's what that is right there. But it's unfortunate. I don't think I can spend much more time here right now, though. I've already gone ahead and made several more short cordages. I even whipped up some bandages too while just trying to pass time. Found some eggs for lunch, and I think it's time maybe to return to the cave, make a digging stick, and who knows, if we return, maybe the peccary will have left and the carcasses won't be totally rotten. There could still be something salvageable, but yeah, let's see. Now there's bird poop here. I don't know if this is good for burning. I don't know. Probably shouldn't worry about it right now. there's going to be plenty of that sitting around. But, you know, we can't neglect any kind of resource in this primitive survival challenge. So we are getting thirsty. Let's see. Looks like our water is still not thawed out. So it definitely sounds like a fire is in order. So let's get down to our cave. We've got a tree trunk here. There's a stick there. I think we'll get right to the mouth of the cave, then we'll maybe worry about wood for the fire. But what's this? Let's grab those. I'm gonna... Actually, I can just pick those up. I know I might be able to eat those. Alright. Grab those. Now we're gonna start to want to, like, accumulate as much material and resource here by the cave as we can, either for crafting or just straight up for burning. Alright. I don't notice any bears in the area, and I don't really want to go in there and find him. You know, we could get into a fight with a bear in a cave, and close quarters is not probably a smart idea. But what we'll do, I'm going to start to drop some of the stuff that I don't need, and we'll burn it. I'm going to drop the rest of my stuff out here. Yeah, cordage, all that stuff we'll put together. Let's come down here because I've got the rest of my materials. Put this up. Alright, stop there. Let's see, and of course, most importantly, our bow drill. So, I've got it here sitting outside the cave because I don't know how we're going to deal with this just yet, but this right here is not enough for a very significant fire. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to drop the long pointy stick and just start to smash down the small trees in the area. We're going to bring this over. Yeah, I'm going to accumulate a bit of firewood, and then we'll have to worry about this bear. See if we can evacuate or evict him from his little cave home. Okay, I have scoured the area, getting a bunch of resources. We got some food stuff, I got some rocks and whatnot, but most of our kindling and fire stuff is over here. So what I think I want to do, let's look up a couple of crafting things. I'm interested in a torch. Yeah, I don't think we can do this without at least better cooking. Or, I'm sorry, better cutting. Cutting of 2 or more. And then some sort of fire or something. But, alright, so that's not going to be much of a help to us. But there might be some other crafting stuff we can do. So let's go back. Rock and a sock. Throwing weapon. Throwing stick. We might do that. We might do that. I'd rather have a sling, potentially, but we might want to make some cattle fodder at some point. How long does this take? 2 seconds? Let's just do that. In case we want to tame something, we might be able to do that with the cattle fodder. You see, you can actually pick it up. Oh, there's snails there. Interesting. That's too big. Yeah, won't fit, but again, it might come in handy down the road. Let's keep looking. Okay, grass skirt, we're okay on that. It might not be a bad thing to try and level up our tailoring a little bit with some of this, but for right now, let's just keep going to other. Here we go. So bring that down. We definitely want to make this digging stick. What's a stone chopper? It's got 2 cutting on it. A rock with sharpened edges, producing knapping. Yeah, there we go. Works as a crude cutting and butchery tool. Plus 2 cutting, so it's an improvement over this sharp rock. And, ooh, it does take almost 3 hours. Let's look at our digging stick. That's only a half an hour. Let's break that out and do that first. Okay. We'll drop the digging stick up here with our other tools. I think, can I drink yet? No, we might want to go ahead and take a break and cook up some lunch. Maybe even try and boil up this water, heat it up. Alright, so we're going to light our very first fire of the playthrough with our bow drill. Boom, right there in the mouth of the cave. Shouldn't spread at all, but yeah, in the future we'll try and figure out something better. We'll do like a ring, fire ring, or maybe a pit, but This could help us with the bear. Although, there is an exit in the back of the cave. So it's possible he slipped out the back. I don't know. I'm just trying to exercise extreme caution with this thing. Let's drop the bow drill. Okay, so let's step a little bit closer to the fire and look at food. Yeah, we just want to cook something up so that we're not going to get as big a mood penalty for eating it. But interestingly enough, it doesn't appear we can do anything with these eggs yet. We probably need cooking container. I'm almost tempted to try and make a cup first for boiling, but, well, let's just focus on what we can eat. As you can see, eating the raw snails or the eggs, for instance, really will not help our joy levels. Now, we do have our flute to compensate. Oh, no, it says you need to hold or wear the bone flute. Oh, so we can just wield it. But let's stay focused on cooking. Maybe we'll play the flute after our dinner. I think cooked plant stock, 23 minutes. Wow, that's a long recipe. Let's do 3 of them for an hour. Smoke is spreading through the cave. That's fine. All right. How'd that do? Let's see. Cooked plant stalks. Yeah, that actually gives us a tiny bit of joy to eat these. So we'll do that. And looks like my water is still frozen. I wish there was a way to thaw it out quicker, but yeah, clean water, small water skin is frozen. That's inconvenient, but you know what? I don't think we should fully rely on it thawing out in time. In other words, we might dehydrate before that stuff thaws. I don't know. I think what we'll do is we'll make an effort to get a clay cup. So I'm going to have to travel up here, grab the clay, and then we're going to need to move to a water source. Probably not that one. No, we'll have to come down to the swamp. Because, of course, we do need a bit of water as we're, making our pottery. But first step is to go get our hands dirty and do a little bit of digging. Here we are at the clay. So we go into our construction menu, and there it is, an option to extract clay. Beautiful. Now, how many did that give us? 7 lumps. Let's repeat it one more time. Of course, we got to be very careful about, how much time we spend doing stuff. We're already in afternoon, which means we're going to see the sunlight fade pretty quickly. But there we go. So 13 lumps, that's a good amount. I'm going to leave the digging stick here. Not much point to bring it with me. But let's grab that. And okay, I was only able to pick one up. So let's haul the rest of it. And I am actually carrying some of the cattle fodder. I didn't realize that I picked one of them up. And I should probably drop this. It's just kind of bulky. But either way, I might... Let's set things to auto haul. Maybe I'll grab all this stuff. There's just too much, material here for me to leave. I also noticed some more eggs on the ground behind us. But I don't want to take too much time. Again, the more we start to haul along, the longer it's going to take for us to move between each square. So let's see if I can get this pile of stuff back home. And then we'll head south to the swamps. Find out if we can make at least 1 cup. Alright, let's see where we're at. I'm going to try a little auto travel. It's definitely slow. It's evening now. Oh boy. I don't know. We're very thirsty. I think we could probably get through... Oh, there's the light. You can see it fading as I walk. Yeah, so heading down to the swamp now and trying to make a cup is probably out of the question. I don't want to get ambushed by something, and if we build a fire, it's going to attract stuff around us. So, yeah, this fire right here in the mouth of the cave might not be a good idea either at the moment. Let's see, what did we end up with? 11 lumps of clay. Let me go ahead and drop everything. Yeah, we'll put everything in that pile. So we did come away with some of the stuff we need, but is the water still frozen? Oh, Yes, no, there it says cold water. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, just in time. I'm just going to drink all of it. And you know what? With that being the case, I might still sneak down. Yeah, let's make a little trip here. I'm going to go try and fill up our water skin. And then maybe we can purify that, have something to drink in the morning. Let's see. Got to be super careful, though. Traveling at night is not smart. All right, let's see. Where are we? A little bit more to the swamp. Just leaving a trail of harvested stuff behind me. That's fine, though. Here we go. All right, we're coming to the water. Now, what we want is the murky stuff. Yeah, murky shallow. Pour in a container. What? Oh, well, you know what? I probably put I put some random pine resin in my water skin. So let's unload that. Just drop it. Drop. And please drop that. He's really clinging to that pine resin, isn't he? All right, there we go. Small water skin. Now we just got to get back home. I think I'll try some auto hauling again. Try and recover all the stuff that I harvested on the way here. It's just so critical for us to get every little scrap of resource that we can. Nothing can be taken for granted here in a woods. All right, we're almost home. Uh-oh, looks like a bird. Okay, I don't want to see any wildlife right now. There is a saber-toothed cat, roughly in this vicinity, so if she wanders over here into the reality bubble, that could be a problem. All right, here we are, back. Let's stop. Move in a little bit. I think that's close enough. Let's try some clean water. Wait, why? Clean water. What? Did I not? Oh, I was mistaken. Yeah, I don't think murky water is what I wanted. Whoopsie. Because it's not showing it as a viable option. No. Okay, well, I made a mistake. Yeah, see, it shows water is just not available. So what we'll do is I'll just come over here to this little corner. Let's pour that murky water onto the ground right there. Basically worthless. I don't think I can extinguish this fire. No, it's going to have to just kind of burn through the night. So we are getting weary. It's nighttime. I think our best bet is to try and slip through. If we come down here, let's pray we don't walk into anything. Okay, boom. So there's the underground, little tunnel that'll take us below. I'm not going to explore down here. Oh, good. There's actually a spider web right there. That's good. It gives us a little tripwire, essentially, because we are going to sleep here. We definitely want to try and sleep below ground to, keep ourselves temperature-wise a bit more stable. But at least until we can make the cave a little bit more homey, improve it with certain things. But yeah, we'll go ahead and save it. And Hanny's first night here in the woods. Let's just continue. Of course, there's no alarm clocks, so as soon as he falls asleep, he's just going to keep going until he's fully rested. Now, we're cold and shivering, but I don't believe it's not fatal or anything like that. We don't have to worry about frostbite. Achievement completed. Our first day. Yep, that is quite an achievement. Nothing attacked us here, but we do need to kind of move back. I'm really curious about if that bear is there. It didn't attack us the first time. Let me just see. Is the fire is out? It's good too, because these wood ashes are actually going to be needed for some crafting, specifically pottery. So it's good we have that now, but let's just see if this bear is still back here. Okay, I think it's empty. At least where the bear used to be. I expect that he probably exited through the rear here. at some point. Or maybe through the front when I wasn't looking. But there's 1 or 2 sections left. I want to completely clear the cave. Let's go ahead and knock down the spider webs now. Okay. And there's a bit in the north here that I'd like to check out. Okay. Looks good. Now, there's nothing saying an animal can't just wander back in here. I don't think it'll be the bear. He'll probably just move on. But, yeah, something else could wander in, fly in, who knows. Until maybe we can get some traps put up around the perimeter to secure it better. I don't know what kinds of solutions we can have. Even maybe we could even build like a wall or something, a primitive wooden wall in the back, so there's only one way in and out. We'll have to see. We'll definitely look through our building menu and stuff, but we have a little bit of hunger. Let's see if there's anything we can eat that won't hurt our joy level. The rhubarb is a neutral. It's got a little bit of calories, not many. Same with the Japanese knotweed. Just consume those, but we should probably get another fire started. Although, I think clay cups is going to be a priority. Let's look up the word clay. Okay, good. There's quite a few options. This is what I've been talking about, the clay cup. It's the most basic of containers, essentially. Only holds 1 little unit of water. So it's not ideal, but we can do it just with a fire and some water nearby. I could even use that murky water. But, yeah, actually, maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll just go down to the swamp, grab a little bit more murky water, and we'll make a couple of these cups up here. But first, let's actually look. See if there's maybe a nearby fire. Clean water. This will need... I think this is what we use the ashes for. It says tallow oil. Actually, I don't see ashes listed. Oh, there it is. Wood ashes. Yeah, we just need to burn a little bit more. So we could actually probably make this clay pot using murky water. 20 clumps of clay. We'll need more clay. Leather patches and fur. Okay, that's going to be the hard part. Yeah, we won't be able to do it because of that specifically, but let's keep looking. Cremated ashes. I don't know if we can hold water in that, but what about a regular clay pot? Oh, okay, this is what we want. Oh, this is very simple. We could make a couple of these. I just need 2 charges of the murky water, and we can start a fire. Yeah, let's make some clay pots. I assume it's going to be a bit bigger than the jug. Although, actually, the jug seems a little different. Waterproofed hide lid, used to hold and pour liquids. Yeah, again, takes some leather, stuff we don't have. What's this? 15-liter K-pot with handles. Takes more fur and leather. Flower pot. Actually, that could be useful to us. I'm not sure. Crucible we'll definitely want for our metalworking, but not right away. Canning pot. This is actually a requirement for the clay pot oven, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1 canning pot, 1 clay pot, and 2 fire bricks. So this is going to be something we really want. It's got level 3 food cooking and oven cooking, chemical boiling too. So this is basically, at least early on, going to be our main place we cook and prepare foods. Big priority, but like I said, I think right now, let's go get a bit more clay. I'm going to grab some murky water, and we're going to make some clay pots. All right, I am returning from the clay mound, and believe it or not, there's actually a small recess, like right here, which has murky water in it. So I don't need to travel to the swamp now. We've got the murky water. We will need to go back down there to get some water that we can actually boil up. But let's see here. First, we're going to get these pots, because then we can, accumulate more water. So first things first, we will need another fire. Yeah, let me get a little bit of a fire going. All right, there we go. We've got our fire started, and check this out. I actually noticed There's water right here, literally right next to our cave. Yeah, it's another recess. So it's not infinite. It's got a limited amount, but there might be others close by. Again, though, that's not good for drinking, so we're going to still have to do something about that. But let's look at our clay menu. I hope this fire is actually big enough, because it might not. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to take us an hour and 21 minutes. I'd like to make a couple, but we'll just start with one. Okay. Boom. There we go. Look at it. It looks great, too. You can actually see the little handle on it and stuff. And it's good to go. Yeah. It doesn't need to be, like, fired or anything. That's kind of what we used our fire for. Crude clay pot used for cooking. Oh, it's got food cooking 3 in it. Nice. I'm going to drop it here next to us. Let's actually go to the food tab. Scrambled eggs. There we go. How long? 7 minutes? Let's do it. We are hungry. Some delicious fresh scrambled eggs. But I'm going to make a couple more while we've got the fire. Let's just go to clay again. What else can we do? Canning pot. That's an hour and 48. Let's go ahead and make it, because again, that's going to be another critical thing for a little oven that we've got to make eventually. Primarily meant for food canning via water. I assume we can probably at least temporarily store water in here too. Alright, we're making it. No, he stopped. Wheeled it. What? What am I holding in my hands? Let's see. Confused by that. Something you are wearing hinders you from both hands. I don't know what that would be. Okay, let me see if I can continue this process somehow. Okay, I have literally taken everything off, so our character has nothing in the inventory. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, now I can wield it. I have no idea what that was holding me up, but well, it is primitive survival, so walking around in our birthday suit, as they call it, isn't too unusual, right? Alright, so we've got the canning pot. Let's see. I'm going to drop it. Let me go ahead and put my clothes back on real quick. Alright, we're looking a lot better. I think I am going to drop some things like the sharp rock. Leave that here. Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and unload the water skin of the murky water. I'll just pour that onto the ground there. I am going to grab the clay canning pot and wield it. Oh my god, it won't let me. That we can pick up. I think it's the basket. It shows that I'm wearing it, but I don't know. It feels like it's in my hands. Yeah, there we go. So I can do that. Maybe can I wear it? No, it says I don't have my hands free. Interesting. So when we wear the basket, quote unquote, it's actually going into my hands. Well, what I'm really caring about right now is the liquid containers, because we're going to shoot down to this swamp and get as much water as we can hold to purify. And then I'll just pick up the basket again when we get back to camp. Hopefully we don't encounter anything nasty. Alright, here we go. So, dire wolf. It's the dire wolves. Looks like they might be down here fighting these things. Okay, well, we've got a pack of wolves to our south. No, that doesn't mean we can just retreat, though, because we need water. Okay, I think this is what we want. Water. You could gather fresh water from here. Not safe to drink as is. This is it. Yeah, murky water is something altogether different. And then, of course, I think there's also salt water sometimes in the swamps. Yeah, this one here is salt water, so that could be handy, but we need to just kind of come right down here. Oh god, I hope these things don't see me. Wait, what? It won't let me put water directly into the clay pot. Interesting. I can't use it to fill up water. Well, that's weird. Very strange. But we did get 6 water here in the water skin. Wow, that's super puzzling to me. But, I mean, hey, not too surprising. I've been baffled by many things in this game. Although now it's time to reverse course and get the heck away from that swamp, because that is a very dangerous area. Yeah, I'd love to find another source of water close by, but, you know, after kind of peeking around behind the cave, it just doesn't appear there's any ponds. We can go deeper into the woods, but then we start running into the problem that it's actually farther than the swamp. But, whew, either way, I have learned a lot today, and we haven't died yet, which is so important. Oh, you know what I think is the problem? Oh, I couldn't actually... Oh, I see what happened. So the clay pot is in the canning pot. If I take one out, now I should be able to, yeah, fill it up with water. Let's just test that here. Pour it in. Yeah, clay canning pot. Now it's available. Oh my gosh. See, so many little things you got to pay attention to while playing Cataclysm, especially here in the primitive survival world. But man, oh man, I am exhausted after just 2 days of survival, not even a full 2 days. So I think we'll continue our adventure in the next episode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. As I mentioned earlier on, we're going to be doing a little bit of a change to my live streaming schedule. I normally stream on the weekends on Twitch, but since we're doing an edited Let's Play series for Cataclysm, I'm going to try out some other games in place of my normal Cataclysm streams. But don't worry, as soon as this series is over, we will return to our Cataclysm live streams. But in the meantime, I've got some really great games that I'm excited to share with you guys over there on Twitch. So in the description is my Twitch link. Make sure you follow me to get notifications. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in for this first episode of my very first Innawood playthrough. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.